Hello Tech Genius, I am Ravi. Have you ever imagined a place where learning is as dynamic as the technology shaping your world? Then here's a deal. With iMatix, you can make sure the learning is exciting, impactful right from the beginning. You have interactive sessions with expert-led courses. In the world of tech, from data science to cloud computing, it's not just about a session, it's about doing, building, learning by solving real problems. So let's get started. Today we will continue the journey with more configurations of the company side setup. And then we will create cost centers also, cost center hierarchies also. We will create the ledgers and other things, and most probably time permits. Then we will create 1 or 2 accounting journals also. I just typed my company name in the search bar Twitter Inc. And here we are, the company details. Now click on these 3 dots. Now go to company. Yesterday we went with this option, added company contact information. There are other important features, other things we will learn as and when the right time will come. But the other important configurations of features are this one, added company text details. Here you can define the text IDs. Just like in India, we have a TIN number, text identification number for the companies, or VAT number or GST number. Similarly, you can add all this here also. If you type India here, for example, although this is a US company, but for example perspective, we can use a text ID here. You can see just in Bihar, just in Assam, central ping contact information number. We'll add a company identification number here. Can I add they've made about the? Now, one of these would be a primary ID. Let's mark this one as a primary ID. Now there is another tab, third-party text options. This is used for third-party text applications which you sync with Workday using integrations. Avalara. Avalara is one of the text tools that's been used to capture text details from Workday to Avalara. Now you define the text on the sales item and that gets captured in the Avalara. There's an integration which works and just set up this text, quantification and other things. You can do the same thing if you want, like operational transaction source. Customer invoice. For customer invoice, what is the text? Service name. Avalara, or if it is supplier invoice, you can say 10 like this, about. Avalara is a text tool which captures text based on the sales item that you send to customers. It captures the text, basically the US tool, and only used in US side only, not in India or Asia Pacific side. I mean an example, it can be anything. Any text that you do, which you want to sync with Workday for this operation, transaction sources. It's mostly done by the integration team. Now we go here. What happened here? Now we go here. What happened here? Now we go here. What happened here? The other important part is added company ownership details. Like who owns this company? If it is a single company, obviously no one owns it. But let me give an example here. Like in case of startups, when they set up the company, they need funding, seed funding, funding series, ABCD, whatever it is, right? At that time, are they foreign companies or Indian companies itself fund that startup, right? They buy the equity of that company like 50 cent. If you have seen the Shark Tank series, Indian Shark Tank series and on, they buy the equity, they buy the business of this company that I own the 50% business. Instead of that, I'll give you like 1 lakh rupees or 10 lakh rupees or 1 crore or 2 crores. But I will need a 50% equity. I will need a 10% equity, like that. You can mention the company here because on TV you see an individual only, but in the behind there is a company who buys this stuff or equity from your business. Here I will give a dummy company here, GMS USA. This is a company that is marking it, saying that this GMS USA owns 100% of this company. And also it gets 100% income, whatever is generated or earned by Twitter Inc. There can be 10 companies also, 5 companies also, 50 companies also, doesn't matter. Because a company can be purchased or owned by multiple companies. If you know in China, like they are most of our like startup, you know Zomato, Paytm. Nike and all these companies are owned by Alibaba. Caplus. If you have heard about Alibaba Jack Ma, the Chinese tycoon, right? They own mostly all the Indian startups. They have invested in seed funding and all the startups. Majority of the startups are owned by the Chinese companies here in India. You don't need to, it's not necessary to put these details only if it is owned by any other company. Let's see. The other important feature is, and very important feature is, accounting details. Assigning the right accounting to this company. We'll go to company cancel here. Go back to company. 3 dot. Added company accounting details. Added company accounting details. Now you see I'm still able to change the company currency here. Still have that option. But once I assign the accounting, it will be grayed out. Watch it very carefully. Right now I can use any other currency I want. It will work. But once I assign an accounting, it won't work anymore. Or if I do a transition, now the next important field. There are multiple fields here, but we'll talk about majority of them, which are very important, and rest you'll come to know about later on once you start doing practice. Now only we'll do with the start with, like, not with the heavy gun, very basic gun, middle level of knowledge. And once you gain some more knowledge about Workday, then we'll talk about each and everything. Right now, only important fields which are important when you start the company. Fiscal schedule. Now, fiscal schedule is nothing. It's basically a financial year. It is April to March or January to December, doesn't matter. In Workday, we call it fiscal schedule. Schedule of your fiscal or financial year. If I break it up in a sentence, breakup of your financial year or when your financial year starts. If you click here, when you will do a fresh implementation, there you won't find a single value. This is a practice tenant. People have built their own fiscal schedule, but you have to build a fiscal schedule from scratch. You cannot have all these values there. It's a practice tenant. That's why you see multiple values here, but don't get confused when you work on a fresh implementation or a new project. That I'll just go to the next. That's how many values in fiscal schedule. Now I see none because it's a practice tenant and people already built this in a new tenant of P1 tenant or phase 1 tenant. You won't see all these things. You have to configure these fiscal schedules. Right now I'll use this one standard corporate schedule, but let me open this, the new tab, and apparently I'll show you each and everything how to configure as well. We'll use them here, the existing one, but I will also show you how to configure them from scratch. Let me first pick this up. Account set. Account set is nothing but a set of your ledger accounts. Cash balance sheet account, profit and loss accounts, subsidiary accounts, all of your ledger accounts. Set of your ledger accounts is called account set in Workday. We'll use corporate here. And don't worry, I'll just show you one by one how to configure this from scratch. Now account control rules are important. Account control rules, that is nothing but where we have a rules for your manual journals. Now there are two kinds of journals that we talk about it for a minute. In Workday, you have two kinds of journals. One is your operational journal. Another one is your accounting journal. What is the difference between your operation journal and an accounting journal? Operational journal gets created from your operational transactions. What are your operational transactions? Your operational transactions are your customer invoices, your supply invoices, your cash payment, your interest payment, your asset payment, PO related stuff, supply invoices, ad hoc payment, and on. There is a big list. We'll talk about that in 2-3 chapters from now. But those are operational transactions which you create for your operations. Now supply invoices. Obviously I have purchased something to do. You run my business. Maybe it's goods or services, or maybe I purchase some raw material and to make it in a final product. All those kind of operational transactions. Accounting journals are nothing but manual journals which you post to fix some month-end entries or month-end balances or to post adjustment entries. Operational journal gets created automatically. We'll talk about that, how it gets created, but it gets created automatically. Once you create an operational transaction like a customer invoice, invoice adjustment, supply, invoice adjustment, and on. Is it clear? What is an operational journal and accounting journal? Shri, is it clear to you? Not sure if she is there or not, but if you can hear us, just let us know. You can say hi, yes or no in the chat, and we'll come to know about it. For now, I'll select a value. This control rule set is used for your manual journals. Account posting rule set is used for your operational journals. Let me select the value first. We'll use this one. Somebody has changed the name of it. I'll just rename it later on. Account posting rule set. Now you see the moment I have assigned accounting here, that currency field is not enabled anymore. Let me show you again. The moment you select an account control rule set here, this is used for your manual accounting journals, which you create manually. I'll show you each and everything in detail. Don't do that. Right now, the selecting existing value because it's good. It just saves a lot of time, but I will show you how to create it from scratch and how they look. First of all, we'll check the existing one. Then I'll show you how to create one. It's very easy. It's mentioned in the PDF also. No need to worry. Then the moment you select an account control rule set, you can see this currency field has been graded out. You cannot change it. You can see this one. This one which she was asking yesterday. If my company is INR and it reports into US dollars, this is how it does. Suppose this company has a head office in Europe and they have to report all the numbers into euro currencies. Now you would put that euro here. And using this, you can translate the balances of this company into a euro also. But this is not the end of it. Like you can change this translation currency any point of time in your reporting reports also. When you run any report, financial report, we'll see that after like chapter 5 or 6, that when we run the financial reports, we can translate the balances into any currency we want. Although we have mentioned euro here, but when we run the reports, financial reports, at that point of time we can change the currency to any currency in what you want to see the balances. It's just like FAI configuration perspective. But when you want to see the balances in different currency apart from US dollars, you can do that. It's quite possible. Now this is like little advanced thing. I will not talk about this right now. Once we clear 3 or 4 chapters, we'll talk about it. Now the currency is INR. Now if I want to report the balances, I can report the balance into INR. That's what Indian government, Indian continent, right? But if my parent company want to run the report, Like the same time some CFO is sitting there in the US and he wants to see the balance in US dollars. He can run a report like find journals or trial balance, and then he will give this currency called USD. Even I don't put anything here, he can put that USD over there and he can see the balances to US dollars. Now the other important part is this journal reversal option. Suppose for any reason you cancel the transaction, operational transaction. In that case, what will happen? There are two options here. Either you can say reverse debit of credit. Let me give an example in the Excel sheet. First of all, mostly companies use this first option only. Let me hit, and then we'll talk about this if we lose the change. Right now it's done, but let's come back with an Excel sheet example. Let's close this. First option was reverse debit and credit. Let's assume I created a customer invoice. Customer invoice. In which ledger account? Janakota customer invoice. This ledger account was debited. This ledger account was now with the first option. What I am saying is reverse the debiting credit. When I will cancel my transaction or when I reverse my transaction, this will become 205,181 and this will become 1515 and it will knock off the balances. Clear? This is what I am saying with you, my first option. Now if you go with the second option here, keep debit credit and reverse the sign means simply means right now this was under credit means 2581 right in the original transition. Now what the system I am saying is let it be debit only, but change the sign of it, make it this and make it this, that's all. Again it has knocked off the balance, but in this format. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel.